Peace everyone, Black High Priestess. Had a bit of a busy day today. It's a little off, but that's fine. I'm not quite ready, so I just wanted to talk a little bit today about child abuse in the Black community and start with my experience that I had. You guys can't see this lipstick, but it's more of a magical, metaphysical tool than about looking beautiful all the time. I mean, it's about looking beautiful, but it's just one of those things that I have to do. You know, everyone has their things that their spirits, you know, require or, you know, encourage them to do or inspire them to do. One of mine is, you know, wearing makeup and things like that, even even when I'm in the home. But oh. Oshun Senora Santa Desu Ayeo Mama Oshun Raya das Aguas Claras y aquí nos ayudar me orisha Mama Oshun ascendecios canjieros iluminainos sus terreos brazos bios abençoar Ayeo Mama Oshun ascendecios canjieros, iluminainos sus terreos, brazos fios abençoar. Oshun, Senhora Santa Desu, ayeyeo, Mama Oshun, Raia das Águas Claras. Y aquí nos ayuda me orisha, Mama Oshun, ascendecios canjieros, iluminainos sus terreos, brazos fios abençoar, ayeyeo, Mama Oshun, ascendecios canjieros, iluminainos sus terreos, brazos fios abençoar. Still really hot and sweet and tasty. So, having done that, I will upload the YouTube live that I did right after the experience happened. It was kind of fresh, but I've had time to you know, cleanse my energy a little bit and take care of everything. So I just really briefly wanted to say that as I was you know, walking errands and I had a bunch of groceries in my hand, and so I decided to take the bus back. So at the bus stop there was a sister who was, you know, very just kind of hollering at her child. She came first, and then the child came kind of straggling, and you know, with some bags too, and she just, you know, hurry up, and why are you so slow, and hurry up, you know, and then she was kind of looking. I could see she was looking around, so I was already checking to see when the bus came. So I told her, I said, hey, the bus is coming in 5 minutes. And she was like, oh, thank you, you know, I was wondering this and this and that. And then so she came over and started talking to me. And this little boy, and he taking his time, and this and that, he acting like this and acting like, and he, you know, and then she started like smacking him in his face and in his nose and lips, you know, like, dang it. And this boy couldn't have been more than 5. If he was even 5, I wouldn't have put him at 5. I would have put him at 4, to be honest. But he, you know, he you know, we kind of are ageless Black people, but regardless of that, he was very young, you know, old enough to carry groceries, but far too young to be spoken to like that, in my opinion. But, you know, so at that point, I was just kind of, I couldn't engage her anymore without stating how I felt. And I said, you know, I think I might have asked, I said, is the father around? And, you know, she said, nah, and everything. And I said, you know, well, I said you shouldn't abuse your child because the father's not around. I kind of already, said, maybe you shouldn't hit him like that. I said, maybe, because she was mad that he was crying. What you crying for? Nah. Kevin, girl, I got all these groceries. He ain't got, but these two, and I just was like, I said, you shouldn't take the father not being around out on the child. I said that the child, he can't defend himself against you, and you don't know, and you let your kids walk all over you, and he needs to learn this, and he needs to learn that. He needs to know society ain't gonna do this, and he needs to learn this. He needs to know how to do this, and then and everything. And I'm just, being as calm as possible because I saw she was already upset. But when she started hitting her child in the face and he's already crying, I had to intervene, I felt. And so the bus comes and we're getting on the bus and she's still going off. And I was just saying, if you want to teach him about society, you're still setting an example. And I says, hitting him in the face and yelling at him like that and behaving the way that you're behaving in public is setting an example too. I said, you want him to do better, but you're teaching him that violence is the way to solve problems. I said, you're teaching him that the way you're behaving is the way that you deal with problems, in public. I said, he's also learning from example. I also said, I remember what it was like to be a child. And to have a single mother who didn't have a man. My father was around. He did take care of us financially. He did keep us, but he wasn't in the household for various reasons. Mostly the PTSD from Vietnam, but that's another story. And then she kind of started saying, well, you this and you that, and and I said, well, we're on the bus, and she was still going, and I kind of just had my back toward her, but she was still speaking. And so I turned around to receive what she was still saying because she was going off on the bus. But the important thing is this sister never once called me out of my name. And she, in fact, never once used a curse word that I recall. She was just going off. So in that sense, I felt that she was being respectful because I gave my opinion and she was giving her opinion, no matter how loud, boisterous, and maybe unaware that she was doing it. Again, I can't say that she ever really disrespected me. You understand? So I turned to her and gave her the respect of having my face to her while she was giving, her opinion and everything. And, after, and I said all I was doing was sharing my opinion, I'm saying, and just like you're sharing yours, and so she said thank you with an attitude, I said thank you, whatever, and, I got off the bus sooner because I was only a couple stops away. And so as I got off, I said all I'm trying to say is that you don't abuse a child because the father's not there. But long story short, when I encountered the mother and son, and he's a beautiful chocolate boy, and she was not fair skinned, but she was like, I would say more caramel complected. And and she had purple, purple and gray sister locks and everything done, and so I found her to be a very attractive woman, and I could see that she made it with a very attractive brother too. But the way she was behaving because of her frustration was making her very ugly, and it was hurting the child. And it's important to understand, sisters. I'm talking to sisters right now because Black women in America, we have a crisis of single parenthood, and especially single motherhood in our community, unlike other communities, because Black men, number one, are disproportionately incarcerated. So most Black men always have been in America taken out of the community through incarceration, through being put in conditions that the Black men cannot survive other than illegal forms, forcing him to risk his freedom. And murder is another way. If it's not incarceration, it's the disproportionate mass murder of the Black man by the police. I'm not talking about Black on Black violence. However, Black on Black violence is a direct result of lack of resources in the Black communities because of racism in America. So having said that, I am specifically talking to Black women because Black women are put in severe conditions that drive a lot of us crazy. that other races of women in America would not be able to deal with if you were put in a condition and had the lack of manhood in your communities, and manhood was stripped of your communities. And so you have generations that were raised without the discipline of manhood, and women trying to compensate for that without coming home after a hard day's work and dealing with what we deal with in our impoverished communities. Not having someone to rub your feet, tell you you're beautiful, rub your back, make love to you, help you out. A lot of you women will never know what it's like to be a black woman in America, and to have to deal with that, and then to go out and not have access to manhood for whatever reason, and to have only a selection of either mediocre or underdeveloped or impoverished men to select from, no matter how eligible you are as a woman. So my message behind that is this: by the time, when I encountered them, the boy was crying, and everything, and he was hurting, and I was feeling his pain as I was feeling her pain. But his mood slowly started to change, and by the time I got off of that bus, he had a smile on his face. And me, I don't want to say standing up, because I didn't stand, I was sitting down actually when the conversation started, but me defending his right as a child to have a childhood. Because what I told her, I said, our black boys and girls have a right to have a childhood. And she says, yeah, but he also needs responsibility and this and that. And I said, you know what? No, the number one thing of being a child is not having responsibilities. Of having the privilege of having an adult and a parent around to cover the responsibilities so you can enjoy your youth and your innocence. That is something that black Americans have never had the privilege of, having childhood, because of the struggle of coming through from slavery and being forced in a condition where your responsibility is making sure that white people are better than you. You're in a condition where you were bred or enslaved, but it's 2018, so we are still dealing with where the results. Our forefathers, our grandparents, sometimes it's less than, it's just one generation away. Okay, were bred and groomed to be slave to white people, and to this day now it's not just black and brown indigenous people, but it's still for the most part is, especially when you're in a city, a Masonic city like Chicago. And there is a lot of white supremacy here, and it is who you know. And if you don't know a white person, or you're not cozy with a white person where you can get employment that will sustain you, you're either on your own, or you got to grind and go through all these loops just to have a fraction of what white people are handed to them at birth, for the most part. So yes, there are some exceptions racially. There's exceptions. There's some black people who have been well off in America without having an interracial relationship. There are some white people who have been impoverished because maybe they were related to Native Americans, and they have a little bit Indian, and they come from reservations, or they they come from conditions of poverty, and didn't have the same opportunities that other white people in America had. Fact of the matter is, poor, impoverished white people in America still have more access to privilege and opportunity than wealthy black people. I'm willing to debate that, because of colorism and white supremacy in America, especially in a city like this where there's a lot of government authority or higher powers affecting the politics. All I'm saying is, please, you all, those of you who are healers, and those of you who, mothers too, but anyone who's living in a black community where it's hard, it's rough, and there's a lack of resources, there's a lack of education, and number one, there's a lack of manhood and masculinity, because most of the men are taken out or put in risky conditions. Please do your part. Use your voice and your right to speak respectfully to your members in the community. You know, y'all could go. I don't want to say exactly where I live, but y'all could come on my block and ask for Black High Priestess. I can guarantee you at least 3 people will know who I am. I'm talking about the hustlers on the corner. I'm talking about the ones y'all consider riffraff. So again, I'm about my people. You know what I'm saying? And my people are the underdogs, regardless of what race or color you are. You know, but again, because of racism in America, where I'm at, Black women, sisters go through single motherhood, disproportionately. So let's everyone take responsibility. Be an active role in the children in your life. Mothers, don't take your anger out on your condition on the innocent child. They are dealing with the same thing, probably even worse, because they're not developed enough to understand completely what they're going through. They just know that it hurts. Why are you hurting them even worse? They're going through the same pain you're going through of not having a father, but then they got to get hit too. No. See, spanking in the Black community comes from being whipped as slaves. That's undebatable and undeniable, because that is not how African culture disciplined. Not mostly. We discipline through healing. You know, take responsibility in being an active role in the members of your community. Get to know the members of your community or your neighbors. Find out what they need. If there's elderly people, find out what they need. Bring them flowers. Check on them. Check on your neighbors. Check on the women who are raising kids by themselves, or the men. Find out what the kids need. Help out. Even if it's something like speaking up for something that when you see something happening, or you see a brother disrespecting a sister, or vice versa, you know what I'm saying? But when you feel the need that someone needs to be defended, who may not be able to defend themselves, brothers, those who are around, step it up. Because that anger and everything comes from the fact that the Black woman is dealing with conditions that drive us crazy, but then we don't have any man defending us. A lot of you women would not last 3 seconds being Black in America, let alone dark skin. But that's neither here nor there at this point. I think I said all I need to say. Please let me know how you feel in the comments, especially to single Black mothers, but mothers who are single of any race, but especially single Black mothers who may be from Chicago. I want to hear your opinions. But I'm also saying that we need to stop abusing our children, and men who leave the woman to raise a baby by herself. Every single last solitary thing that happens to that child is on you as well. Don't think you not being around takes away that abuse. That abuse, you're doing it too, because by you not being around and putting that woman in a condition where you drove her crazy because she has to deal with something unnatural in a way that women were not designed to do, but we do anyway. Everything that happens to that child because you put that woman in a vulnerable condition is on you, brothers. If you left your seed and didn't try. Okay? Well, I wanted to make this brief, and I don't know if I'm gonna pull a card. I think that I'm gonna leave it at that, and maybe I'll be talking more about it, but let's really think about how we treat each other, Black people, starting with the way we treat our children, the way we treat our neighbors, and the way we treat each other, brothers and people in your community. When you go and you working in a predominantly white corporate setting and you see another Black person or another brown person, go out of your way to show some Black and brown love. If they don't reciprocate it and they too busy kissing Becky and Tom's ass and brown nosing, that's on them. But you did your part. to show that love in a setting where you know all the white people are going to have privileges and on the low going to get paid more in some way, shape, or form. So let's really uplift each other. And remember, the challenge: black women, don't say anything negative about another black woman on social media, in person, or in your thoughts for an entire year. All right? Peace and love. Listen, learn, like, subscribe.